Many of us know Jackie Robinson as the player who broke the color barrier in the MLB, but his legacy goes far beyond that. Not only did he make history on the field, but he also made plenty of history off the field. He marched and spoke along civil rights leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., encouraged African Americans to fight for equality, and provided hundreds of low-income families with opportunities they wouldn't otherwise have. Looking at how Jackie grew up, it makes sense as to why he was so charitable. He was born as the youngest of 5 children to sharecroppers, and even when the family moved to Pasadena, California, they were still one of the poorest families in their neighborhood, with Jackie's mom having to work all sorts of odd jobs just to make ends meet. Jackie's brothers recognized his athletic abilities and pushed him towards sports to try and keep him out of trouble. And Jackie picked up every sport he could, playing basketball, football, baseball, and track and field in high school, and later at Pasadena Junior College, where he would set the American Junior College record for the long jump. Unfortunately, he wouldn't have time to bask in the happiness from his record, because right before he was set to graduate from PJC, his brother Frank would die in a motorcycle accident. Jackie was devastated and ended up enrolling at UCLA to be closer to Frank's family. There, he would meet his future wife Rachel, and would become the first athlete in school history to earn a varsity letter in 4 sports. And surprisingly, baseball wasn't even his best one. He won the 1940 NCAA long jump championship and was a part of the 1940 UCLA football team that went undefeated, but in baseball he barely hit over 100. In 1941, the football team failed to repeat their success from the season prior, and in an attempt to support his family, he would drop out and take a job as an assistant athletic director at the National Youth Administration for a short time, before playing semi-pro football with the Honolulu Bears and Los Angeles Bulldogs. Unfortunately, after the attack on Pearl Harbor in December of that year, he would have to leave his football career behind and serve in the Army. In the Army, he faced plenty of racism that would help to prepare him for his MLB career, starting when he applied to officer candidate school, with his application being delayed for months despite him being qualified, and the racism would get even worse after he became an officer. One day, after getting on an Army bus, he was told to sit in the back despite the bus being desegregated. Jackie refused, and when he went to get off the bus, he was met by military police who attempted to court-martial him and falsely charged him with insubordination, disturbing the peace, drunkenness, conduct unbecoming an officer, insulting a civilian woman, and refusing to obey the lawful orders of a commanding officer. Thankfully, he was acquitted of all the charges and was honorably discharged shortly after. Following his time in the military, he returned to play for the Los Angeles Bulldogs for a short time before becoming the athletic director and basketball coach at Sam Houston University. However, he would only last one season at the school because in early 1945, he would receive a contract offer from the Kansas City Monarchs to play baseball in the Negro Leagues and would end up signing for $400 a month. He didn't really enjoy his time there though because of how disorganized it was, the fact that it embraced gambling, and also that he could now only communicate with his wife through letter. But he didn't let that stop him from balling out. In 34 games, he hit near 400 with an OPS over 1,000 and led the league in homers and doubles on his way to making the All-Star team. His performance caught the eye of Brooklyn Dodgers GM Branch Rickey, who was looking for a player to break the color barrier in the MLB. And after ensuring that Jackie would be able to take the verbal and physical abuse that he would face in the MLB, he was given a contract of $600 a month, which is equal to around $10,155 in today's money. Upon signing, Jackie would face some backlash from even fellow Negro League players, such as Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson, because he wasn't even considered the best Negro League player. But that was nothing compared to the racism he was about to face. Upon reporting to spring training, he wasn't allowed to stay with his teammates in their hotel due to it being segregated. And during spring training, teams would cancel their games against the Dodgers, and the Dodgers were even locked out of their own practice field at one point in protest of Jackie being a part of the team. Due to this, Jackie would barely get to play in spring training, and played all of the 1946 season in the minors with the Montreal Royals, where he transitioned from shortstop to second base and put up impressive hitting numbers. The following season in 1947, Jackie would make the opening day roster, debuting on April 15th, not playing short or second, but first base in front of over 26,000 fans. But the racism started pretty much immediately. He was constantly showered in slurs and death threats, and even his own teammates threatened to sit out rather than play alongside him. That didn't last long though, after his manager Lee DeRocher gave a speech where he said, "I do not care if the guy is yellow or black, or if he has stripes like a fucking zebra. I'm the manager of this team, and I say he plays." His teammates weren't the only ones threatening to sit out either. Teams throughout the National League, specifically the Cardinals, were threatening to sit out when they played Jackie as well. But this was squashed by the league commissioner, who said that anyone who sat out would be suspended. Teams would play extremely physical against him, throwing at him constantly, and there was even an instance where Eno Slaughter spiked him on a slide, leaving a 7-inch gash on his leg. Against the Philadelphia Phillies, he would face some of the worst verbal abuse he would endure in his career, with them constantly calling him the N-word throughout the game and telling him to return to the cotton fields. However, the Phillies' insults would end up having the opposite effect of what they intended on Jackie, with Branch Rickey saying that the Phillies did more than anybody to unite the Dodgers. Despite the constant racism he faced, there were some that were more accepting than others, such as Hank Greenberg, who also went through his own hardships due to being Jewish, and his teammate Huey Reese, who put his arm around Jackie to show solidarity before a game where he was being harassed extra badly. And as much as racism might have affected Jackie mentally, it didn't affect his play, with him finishing the season with a .297 batting average, 31 doubles, 5 triples, 29 stolen bases, and an .810 OPS, which helped him to finish 5th in MVP voting and take home the inaugural Rookie of the Year award. Jackie's play actually helped to bring the Dodgers to the World Series that year, where he became the first black player to play in the game, but they would unfortunately lose lose the series to the Yankees, which would become a theme of Jackie's career. The following year, Jackie would return to playing second base, and the racial tension around him would relax a little bit, due to more black players such as Satchel Paige making their debuts this year. And he continued to play well, putting up excellent numbers. Prior to the 1949 season, he signed a $12,500 contract, worth about $158,518 in today's money, and received some advice from Hall of Famer George Sisler that allowed him to take his game to the next level. Sisler told Jackie to focus on driving the ball to right field and to anticipate the fastball first, which helped him to raise his batting average from .296 in 1948 to .342 in 1949. This year, he also hit 16 homers, 38 doubles, 12 triples, drove in 124 RBIs, and stole 37 bases on his way to not only making his first All-Star game, but also taking home MVP. The Dodgers once again made it back to the World Series, but lost to the Yankees yet again. In 1950, Jackie would sign the largest contract in Dodgers history at the time for $35,000 per year, which is equal to $443,000 in today's money, and he even starred as himself in a biopic about himself. Unfortunately, him starring in the movie would lead to Branch Rickey leaving the team after the season, because Dodger co-owner Walter O'Malley began calling Jackie Ricky's prima donna. Jackie was heartbroken by Rickey leaving, telling him in a letter, "Regardless of what happens to me in the future, it can all be placed on what you have done, and believe me, I appreciate it." Jackie would once again put up great numbers in 1951 and 1952. But the Dodgers had limited playoff success, and starting in 1953, he would no longer be the everyday second baseman, instead playing most of his time in the outfield or at third base. In 1953, he would also begin to focus even more on social issues as he began to edit for Our Sport magazine, focusing on criticizing segregated restaurants and hotels that the Dodgers used, which even led to some of them becoming integrated as a result. He put up great numbers in 1953 and 1954, and in 1955, during the worst year of his career, the Dodgers finally managed to take home the World Series. This was also the season that he started to show signs of diabetes and began to miss lots of games. And following the 1956 season, a year where he missed a career high in games and put up the worst numbers of his career, he announced that he was retiring. Following his retirement, he was diagnosed with diabetes, but he wouldn't let that stop him from accomplishing so much following his retirement. He took a job as the vice president at Chock-full of Nuts, where he became the first African American named vice president of a Fortune 500 company. And while he was there, he focused on improving the working conditions for employees. He would also become a very active member of the NAACP. He often spoke at NAACP meetings, including the March on Washington, and was quite often active on picket lines. He also encouraged African Americans to make their voices heard by voting and protesting their second-class citizenship in America. In 1962, he would become the first African American player inducted into the MLB Hall of Fame. And in 1964, he helped to open the Freedom National Bank, which was a black-owned and operated bank that would stay open until 1990. In 1965, he became the first black person to become a color analyst for ABC, and in 1970, he founded the Jackie Robinson Construction Company, which to this day helps to provide low-income families with housing. Finally had his number retired by the Dodgers in 1972, along fellow Dodger legends Ron Campanella and Sandy Koufax, and would eventually get a statue outside of Dodger Stadium. Fortunately, he would die just a few months later on October 24th, 1972, finally losing his battle with diabetes. Nearly 2,500 people would attend his funeral to mourn his loss, and tens of thousands lined the streets to pay their respects, truly showing the impact that Jackie had. Following his death, his wife Rachel founded the Jackie Robinson Foundation in his honor, which has helped to provide plenty of low-income children with scholarships and job opportunities, and has even helped to raise money for civil rights movements, including the time they helped to bail Martin Luther King Jr. out of jail. In 1987, the MLB renamed the Rookie of the Year awards in the MLB the Jackie Robinson Awards to honor him being the first ever recipient of the award. And in 1997, they would retire his number 42 throughout the league, and since 2009, every player in the league wears his number on April 15th to celebrate the day that he broke the color barrier. Since his death, he's been given awards to celebrate the impact that he had on civil rights in America. He was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom by Ronald Reagan and the Congressional Gold Medal by George Bush, which are two of the highest honors a civilian in America can receive. Jackie Robinson's impact is felt beyond sports and is seen throughout America. His impact on the field and off has given many black athletes today many opportunities they wouldn't have otherwise gotten. And his resilience and courage in the face of relentless racism is the reason that we now remember him today as an American hero. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. We're on the road to 300 subscribers. And until next time, peace.